Okay, this is the second time I record this video. I've just done it. I've just looked back at it and oh, it was bad. It was really bad. I don't know if I'm trying to be too professional or what, but it was hideous. So I'm going to redo it. I'm going to try and be more relaxed about it this time. So this is some new videos that I'm going to be doing. It's going to be called So They Say. And I want to cover things like ghost stories and stuff like that. A lot of the local area, but I want to end up covering wider parts and maybe some conspiracy theories or things like that. You give me some ideas what you want me to cover and talk about on here. Now, I've done loads of videos on this channel. I think I've only got about 240 subscribers. If you can help me along and get a few more subscriptions and give me some thumbs up on there if you like it. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. It don't really matter to me. And they're not making waves in the YouTube world, are they? I think my most videos got 17,000 views on, and I was happy when I got all the Stanford people dancing in the streets. But on this video we're going to be looking at Mucking. You know, Mucking is the little village down on the Thames estuary, just outside Stanford-le-Hope, and it's got a really long history. It's prehistoric. And they found some stones and carving flints and things like that. They're all in the Thurrock Museum. You can go down and have a look at them yourself if you live in Thurrock. But then obviously went on to be looked at by the Saxons. They found it was a great settlement. Also before that, obviously the Romans were there. There's loads and loads of Saxon burials that have been dug up down there. There's loads of swords and all this sort of pottery and everything they find, and so you can go and see all that in the museum. But what most of you can be looking on here is about the ghost stories of Mucking, and there's a lot of them. A lot of these towns that are that old are going to have a lot of ghost stories, and I guess one of the most popular ones of Mucking is the Lady in the Lake. It's been picked up on a few YouTube channels lately, and they use a lot of the information that we put out there as far as paranormal years ago, and so a lot of the stuff that they're coming out with is from our reports, and I would say that our reports were quite accurate at the time. So the Lady on the Lake, so her story is that she lived at Mucking Hall, which was the big manor house down there. Unfortunately got burnt down a few years ago. It was it fell into disrepair, no one wanted to look after it, and then one night it got burnt down. Surprise, it tends to happen with these whole historic houses when they come too expensive to repair and to maintain. But on this occasion, the lady of the manor fell in love with a farmhand down on the corner of Mucking, and not surprisingly the family didn't really like it. He was only a labourer down there, didn't really earn a lot of money, wasn't well respected in the area, but she fell pregnant with him, with a child from him, and of course he thought he'd do the honourable thing and ask her hand in marriage. He went up to the hall and was blatantly pushed out, told no. They were both broken hearted. She begged and begged for her to be able to go and leave and live with the farmhand, and her family declined it. One night, broken hearted, she walked down the lane towards the pond on the corner, and it said that she jumped into the pond and drowned. And this is where the ghost story happens. It is now said that along that lane you can see her walking along, crying and weeping, and then you can hear her fall into the lake. I will say that over the years we've done some investigations down there. I've done one with the nature reserve, and during that investigation we did hear a splash in the lake late at night, and we turned around, put our torches on it, and it was dead flat. And it was quite lucky because there was like this the green film of algae on top, and nothing was moving. It was dead flat, but it was a really loud splash, as if someone had thrown like a full-size log into the lake. But that is just one of the ghost stories down there at Mucking. And you got to remember that Mucking, it was a really important village around the area. It is, there may only be a few buildings now, but at the time it was a really vibrant place, and the Mucking Hall was a really important place to go to. The church was really important to the community, and it spread right up to the boundaries of Stanford-le-Hope. Nowadays, Stanford-le-Hope covers that little parish that is left there, and I think there's only about 1 or 2 families live there now. I know there's a family in the church, because it's now private residence, and the farm that lives there. But a lot of the buildings were sold off to corporate companies over the years, so they've been used as offices and things like that. And there's lots of little ghost stories that I'm not really going to cover. So there's one of the little halls down there was an office, and the people didn't like it, and it was said to be haunted and things moving about. But what we're going to focus on now is the Crown Inn. Now the Crown Inn is, like all these little villages, a really focal point of the area. And I do have a little quote here by the church, the vicar at the church of Mucking at the time. I think it's about 1840. The Crown Inn was a very busy place, which didn't go down well with the local church. At one point, it is said a member of the church spoke at Mucking. They would not admit to a sacrament of any parish which I know to be a common blasphemers and drunkards. So it's quite strong words from a member of the church against what the inn was. But during this time of the inn, say around about 1843, a travelling salesman come to Mucking, and he stayed at the inn, and during that time he developed cholera and he passed away there. And the next day the inn put the bed outside and all the local children played on it. Unfortunately, including the 10-year-old daughter of the Jagger family at the time, this was 1843 actually, was one of the victims who died. And it was said that now you can hear the children playing outside during the night. Although I'll say during the night, I did find some reports that during the summer days that people have been down there, as they walk past the little inn, or the building that was the inn, they still hear children playing around. They can't see them. I can't say that's the ghosts or just sounds wafting over from Stanford of children's playing or anything like that. But these are reports that we still get coming in. But during that time as well, another common ghost story that's come from there is just on the corner is the old school building. And it's a lovely building. It really is. But one of the ghost stories is that you can hear the school bell ring of a night time, and you can hear children playing outside. And this is linked directly to the group of children that died playing on the courier beds, and they were buried in the church at the time. So these two stories are linked, and it's well worth taking a walk down there and have a look where these locations, they are literally within sort of 100 feet of each other, all these little places where these ghost stories are said to happen. We also have a really well documented ghost story down there, and it's from a local policeman, and this is from his biography. And one of the first cases he had was an illegal abortionist who visited Mucking to carry out an abortion, and unfortunately the lady died, and he covered it up by burying her body out on the marsh, and it wasn't discovered till sometime later. They solved the crime, he was arrested for it and charged for it. But he said that this lady haunts the little walkway up that joins Stanford-le-Hope and Mucking. It's a little footpath that goes over the marshes, and he said that she haunts there, and there's a corridor of trees that she was meant to have walked through. Unfortunately they've been cut down, they're growing back, but that footpath is still there that you can go along. One of the other stories that we have at Mucking is that it's actually the site of one of the last hangings for piracies in Essex. It was taking place outside the church grounds on a big oak tree that was out there at the time, and he was hung there. And again, so they say that of a night time you can hear the church bell ring that announced the execution, and you can see his body hanging from where the tree was. I say there's no tree there now, so I guess he's just floating in midair or swinging or something like that. But Mucking's got a really long history. We have reports of tunnels that went from the riverbank right the way through to the Crown Inn. You have that repeated again in Fobbing, just up the road, where we still have the entrance to the tunnel, so we know that they did take place. And with Fobbing we can actually see that. I've not been into the cellars of the old Crown Inn down at Mucking, so I don't know if their entranceways are there or if they've never been there and it was just a myth or a legend. But with Fobbing we know they were there, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of tunnel. Smuggling at the time, these were quite a common occurrence, shall we say. I know up at Fobbing, apparently the Pell House or the old rectory, Cellars were quite well stacked with smuggled alcohol. And actually, just thinking about that, the gentleman that was hung was the last smuggler in Essex to be hung, not pirate. Talking about the pirates, it is a fault that Captain Kidd may have been put out on by Mucking lighthouse. As you know, Mucking did have a lighthouse. It's actually mentioned in the Great Expectations that they go past this old lighthouse, and it was literally just put up on stilts and bits of iron at the time. So that's why it's the way it's described in Great Expectations links directly to the one at Mucking. But yeah, Captain Kidd may have been put out on a cage. It was there or at Tilbury, where it deterred the would-be smugglers and pirates coming into London to see his rotting corpse hanging up from a cage on the estuary entrance to London. It would make sense that he was down there, because obviously it'd be there before you got to Tilbury, which was really the start of London at that time. Although not to forget that back in those days, Fobbing had quite a busy dock itself. So, but anyway, let me know if you like these videos, if you'd like to know more about the history of the area. I'll be making ones on Fobbing and some other places, and the old Tilbury fire station, which is about to be demolished. I'm going to try and do that one soon. So give me some ideas what you'd like to see. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.